Lamar Jackson joining us live from Baltimore. Lamar, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing?
We are great. Thanks for getting up and hanging with us. So let's start with what we just saw. How important was it for you and for the team not only to get your first win, but to get a very dominant win right out of the gate?
Well, you know, we don't go into games thinking it'll be dominant. You know, we're playing NFL guys, grown man, and it's a physical game. You know, it's the last chapter within football. And, you know, we just executed very well, offense, defense, special teams, and went out there as a unit and just came out with a victory.
No one expects to win like that in the NFL game, Lamar, but take me inside of the football laboratory for a quarterback who's trying to develop as a passer. And I do believe that you will be a good passer of the football. Take me from the playoff loss and disappointment to you having the perfect quarterback rating in game number 1. What was that offseason like that prepped you for the launching point which you had in week number 1?
You know, just going back, watching myself, watching all the bad plays, you know, within the season, not just the playoff loss. You know, we were coming out with victories during that time period, but, you know, it was a lot of runs going on. I was seeing myself, you know, late on passes, underthrowing my guys. I didn't really have chemistry with my receivers because, you know, I started real late. You know, I wasn't with those guys. But this offseason, I dialed in the playbook, got a new system with Coach Giro, worked hard with my guys, came back all season, got some throws in, just building chemistry on, and we just took off.
One of those receivers you had instant chemistry with, who you obviously didn't have last year, Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown. Two questions on Marquise Brown. One is, who's faster, you or him? And the other is, how good of a combo can you two be? But answer the first one first, and I want the truth.
The fastest, it got to be him, man. Like, you know, I play quarterback. He the receiver. He definitely the fastest out of us two. And, you know, we didn't really, you know, we wasn't together during OTAs, and we was barely together in camp. You know, he was recovering from his foot injury in college. And, you know, it was a lot of passes that was, you know, out of whack. Sometimes I miss him, you know, in stride. It'd be behind him. And before the game, coach was like, man, we got to have those downfield passes, you know, in the league. Those are big things because you might don't get them again, so you got to take full advantage of them. And in the game, in practice, I'll tell them, I'm like, you know, in the game is going to be different because, you know, we locked in practice. That's where mistakes happen. And we just, you know, in the game, we just connected. You know, it's a Broward County thing.
Broward County thing. That's great. That's great.
Lamar, you talked about going over the playbook in the offseason and going back and watching some of your poorer performances. How much did you work on throwing, just specifically throwing in the offseason, and less on everything else? People already know you're good at, obviously, the running.
I worked a lot on throwing during the offseason. You know, with Coach Joshua Harris down in Pompano Beach on my old youth football field in McNair Park. What we call College City. But, yeah, I worked a lot on throwing, trying to hit my receivers in stride, like I said before, out breaking routes. Each and every pass, you know, you need to win an NFL game. That's what I was, you know, working my hardest on, trying to throw them off balance, just trying to get each and every throw I can and help, well, hopefully it will turn over during the game, and it did, week 1.
Yeah. You mentioned several things I'm very familiar. You know, I came to watch you play in high school. You know, I used to coach there in Broward County. You giving a shout out to Hollywood and everything. Another guy who spends a lot of time in South Florida is Mark Ingram. Him coming over, we know he was successful at Alabama, successful there with the Saints. But tell me about him being the featured running back in this offense, and I know you've probably spent a lot of time with him because he's a great leader. Has Mark not taken you under his wing and showed you how to be a pro in his short stint there in Baltimore?
Definitely, man. You know, I asked him a lot about Drew Brees, you know, how he take his business. You know, Mark's a great leader. He's an explosive back, man. I tell him he reminds me of the old Mark. Like he been in the league probably a year or two. He run the ball very hard, man. He a great back. I'm just glad he's here with us in Baltimore right now.
Lamar, after your game, perfect passer rating, 4 touchdowns. You're just spectacular. You joked, not a bad performance for a running back. I'm curious how much of a chip on your shoulder remains from people, despite you winning the Heisman Trophy, and maybe should have won 2 Heisman trophies as a quarterback, that coming into the NFL, some people were wondering whether you should change positions.
Yeah, you know, it's a chip on my shoulder. The Heisman just came, you know, I won the national championship. You know, the Heisman came, you know, with great teammates around me, great coaching staff at Louisville. And second year, you know, Baker won, and I was happy he won. You know, I didn't really care about winning it again. You know, I had one of my own. I'm just grateful for the opportunity I had to, you know, receive one. And, you know, people is always going to be doubters. I don't really care about the doubters, you know, just moving forward. I got week 1 out the way, you know, we ready for Arizona now.
Lamar, last year was a bit of a whirlwind for you. The way you were drafted, where you were drafted, the way you started your season, all the talk about your running, your throwing. Now you came out after week 1, after win 1, and you really showed people who you want to be. What's been the biggest change from year 1 to year 2? You're kind of the man now. Admit it.
Yeah, kind of a man. I just say just a year older. I say I'm a man now, right? Just, you know, I was in the league a year. I got that out the way. Just had a full offseason to myself instead of, you know, going through the draft process, doing these little workouts and stuff. You know, I was just working out my team and just, you know, dialed in to the playbook. Just worked hard on throwing, and just got to keep going.
All right, real quick, one clarification from my colleague Jenna Wolfe. She said you're kind of the man now, not a man. No one was questioning if you were a man before.
Okay.
She said you're the man, the unquestioned. He thought you said he's kind of a man.
No, he's like the Mac Daddy.
The man. There. Okay, well, we got you. We got it.
Oh, okay.
All right, so what advice would you give, not that you're in a position to help your opponent, but after week 2, pardon me, when you and Kyler meet at midfield, hopefully for you after a Ravens win, what advice would you give him as a rookie quarterback in this league with some stylistic similarities to you?
Just play ball, you know, do what you did in college and high school, you know, just be yourself. You know, he's a great player, man. I watched him, you know, he was #1 dual threat when I came out of high school. Man, him came out at the same time. He's a great quarterback, so, man, just be you and ball out.
What is Coach Harbaugh doing? Because I know he's one of the great teachers, the only coach to ever be a special teams coach, but he is an educator. What input has he had in your overall development? This offseason, he told the media, listen, he's going to develop, he's going to run, sometimes he's going to throw, but he's our quarterback. How instrumental have the confident words that Coach has said about your performance leading to you being successful?
Coach, you know, Coach Harbaugh just let me be myself, man. That's all he tell me. You know, just go out there. You know, they say you can't do this. Just show them, because, you know, I do it in practice all the time. And the guys were just saying, man, you know, we just can't wait to see, you know, trans over to the football field, you know, regular games. I was like, it's going to happen, you know, last year. But, you know, this year, you know, you guys seen it first week. You just got to keep going. Coach Harbaugh just said the same thing, you know, just keep going. It's only week 1. You know, we just got to do it 15 more games.
Lamar, is there a quarterback in the league that you look up to that maybe you want to play like, or maybe that isn't even playing anymore, but whose game you watch and you want to emulate?
Nah, I watch every quarterback in the league. You know, it's a reason, you know, we all here. But I don't want to be like any other quarterback. You know, just be myself. If anything, just, you know, even better myself. If anything, one quarterback I say Tom Brady. You know, he has 6 championships, and that's what I'm trying to be at. Yeah, I'll say Tom, if anyone.
All right.
Lamar, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'm going to be covering the game this week, so I'll be at practice on Friday. I've talked to you a number of times before, looking to see you build on the great performance in week #1. Thanks for joining First Things First this morning.
All the best, Lamar.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.